ready, and we're live.
Okay, before we get started, Stone has to say a few words about the room, how we got the room, just to identify the special circumstances that we're under today.
Okay, I'm going to translate myself. It's simple. This is a big event, World Social Forum for Intersections. I came in at the last minute with this idea of trying to have a circle. We're going to have a small circle after showing a little bit of film. And the idea was that the circle might represent a technique that the activist groups could use themselves, because we have a lot of activist groups. We're dealing with a lot of the same subjects, but we never seem to have enough time to talk to one another. So the whole idea of the circle, that some of the experience that I've gained over the years with the people of the traditional council, the Ganyagaraga Traditional Council in Ganawage, that we can talk about anything. And especially if we get in a circle, we're going to end up understanding each other a lot better than if we don't get in a circle. So that's where this idea of showing some films, and we're so lucky that Martin Duckworth, who directed the film No More Hiroshima, is with us here today present. And we're all concerned about many things: environment, about equity for the women, the men. And that's what this circle could help, I think, solve a little bit better. So that's basically why we're here. Thanks to Anne Latendresse, the Geography Department from UQAM, for helping us have this room. And thanks to the World Social Forum. Je dirais très rapidement en français, ici, on est là parce que le Forum social, c'est un truc énorme. Ils ont compris qu'on voulait proposer un cercle pour essayer de rassembler les groupes activistes contre le nucléaire qui ne se parlent jamais assez, selon moi. Puis peut-être quelqu'un d'autre dira autre chose. Moi, j'ai proposé un cercle. J'ai proposé utiliser des films comme le film Pas d'Hiroshima, ça c'est ma traduction en français. Ça va être montré en version originale avec des sous-titres en français, No More Hiroshima, de Martin Duckworth, le grand cinéaste de l'Office national du film du Canada. Il est là pour nous soutenir. Donc, merci au Conseil traditionnel Ganyagaraga d'être là pour ouvrir, pour animer ce cercle, parce que le cercle, c'est là où je l'ai appris. Voilà.
Okay, so the purpose for that is because within the World Social Forum, we weren't scheduled to be in this room at this time. We're scheduled later on in the afternoon from 4 till 6, but this was a special special work done by Stone anyways, and like he identified through and the professor here. So we're thankful for this because it's to facilitate further deeper discussion on things that do not get discussed by anyone, anywhere. Yes, we are in a world of chaos, a world of corruption. We got there somehow, and the whole world, as smart as they are, cannot figure out how we got here. Obviously, because they can't figure out how the solutions, how to fix the problems of where we are at. So this is why something like this, to facilitate further discussion, is of the utmost importance. Okay, so just to do a very short opening, so what I want to see you, Snardy. Gazita on Rio Yujets, Kahawi Noji on Dudgets, Queen is Star on Nata Roni, Retinu Wadadu, Gurunga Garia Gesu, Yeti Sota Asatanka Garakwa, Yetin Stazi Honzage, Dana Gueguscat Neganungwe, Retinu Wadadu, Sawier, the net Kundon Hetsadat Gawas, Aguades and Egan Yatter the Gerda Dana Aquego or Quadzeria Nuka Suma. Retinu Wadadu. What that day go dano Zewano Sesrono, Rodeno Sesrono, Dana Aguego, Ongwe Hue. I'll leave it at that, as short as possible. What I identify is that, and here, listen to these words. I know you're going to hear them. You've heard all these words in your life, but you do not understand these words. You do not comprehend them. So listen close to these words. We give thanks to the great spiral of creation, that when you look up into the nighttime sky, you are not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space, the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to Grandma Moon, as she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to Mother Earth, regardless of the color that you are, the language that you speak, where you've grown up from Mother Earth, or what you imagine divides us, the things that has you at war with other people in other countries. Because everyone in this room is at war with other people in other countries. Your tax dollars go to it. So this identifies to you that you are not in control of your own power, of your own energy in this world. And so we give thanks to Mama, to Mother Earth, because it is she who has given us body. So here, 3 things were stated to you. Sky Woman gave us spirit. Grandma Moon gave us blood. Mother Earth gives us body. So here, this is something to understand. Are these just words? Or is this an actual scientific equation? Well, that's why I told you a while ago, come up here. You gotta be up here. Otherwise, I'm not remembering that we need translation.
Bonjour à tout le monde, justement pour la traduction en français. Donc, une présentation de la part de Stone, de la part de Gatti Salio qui nous dit que cette activité est vraiment comme dans le côté des activités de Forum mondial, puis qu'on remercie beaucoup la professeure Aline qui a aidé à ce qu'on a trouvé cette salle-là. Et donc, quand on fait un rassemblement, une ouverture doit être faite. Donc, on fait toujours l'ouverture avec le Ohanda Galiwade, quoi. C'est les mots de remerciement à tous ceux qui étaient là avant nous, qui nous a donné la vie et qui continuent à le faire. Donc, on commence en remerciant la femme ciel, qui est l'esprit de la création. C'est elle qui nous a donné l'esprit. Donc, si on pense que quand on regarde le ciel, c'est encore vide, sans vie, ben non. C'est encore vivant, plein de vie qui donne la vie. Donc, on remercie cet esprit-là. Ensuite, nous remercions le cœur battant, palpitant de notre mère Terre, qui est notre grand-maman Lune. C'est elle qui nous donne les os. C'est elle, en fait, qui a initié le mouvement de rotation de notre mère Terre. Donc, c'est elle qui nous donne notre sang. Donc, toutes les eaux, tous liés à l'eau, nous sommes de l'eau, c'est grâce à elle. Donc, nous la remercions pour ça. Et nous remercions aussi notre maman Terre, qui est notre mère à nous toutes et tous, peu importe de quelle couleur, race, division nous voulons croire que nous venons, mais c'est elle qui nous a donné notre corps. C'est elle qui nous permet d'avoir l'expérience, pas seulement humaine, mais du vivant que nous avons. Donc, nous la remercions pour ça. Et j'essaie de all of the life givers, yeah.
No. We apologize for this because unless she's there, I forget that we need translation. So that's why we got a little mixed up there. Okay, so we just got notification also that there's people looking for us where we are. So because this isn't scheduled, if you are looking for us, if you're trying to get here, we're in room
4180.
A4180 at UQAM. We're only gonna be here for maybe another hour. I don't know, what time is it? Anybody can tell us?
10 to 2.
10 to 2? What time are we here till?
An hour.
We're here for 1 more hour. Okay, so here to identify once again a scientific equation. You don't understand this scientific equation because you hear Sky Woman gave us our spirit. You hear Grandma Moon gave us our blood. Mother Earth gave us our body. You don't hear a scientific equation there.
Et donc, ben c'est une équation scientifique quand on entend 3 éléments qui vont composer le reste. Donc, on entend femme ciel, grand-maman lune et mère terre.
But how and where can every single one of us relate to that scientific equation?
Comment que nous pouvons nous relationner avec cette équation scientifique?
Of course, if we left it open for people to answer, we'll be going forever and never get to the point that we're looking for. But to identify to you where you have experienced this, Sky Woman giving you your spirit, Grandma Moon giving you your blood, Mother Earth giving you your body. Where you have experienced this is within your own gestation process, your own coming into life.
Et c'est où que chacune et chacun d'entre nous avons vécu ça dans notre propre expérience. Mais c'est quand on était dans le ventre de notre maman. C'est l'esprit qui nous a créés. Ensuite, ce sont les os, donc le sang du corps palpitant de la mère qui nous a nourris pour créer la matière de notre corps.
So to understand this scientific equation, we have to consider before you came into consciousness.
Et donc, cette équation scientifique a été là bien avant nous, avant qu'on en soit conscient même en tant qu'individu.
So before you came into consciousness, you know. You come from your mother and father. So before you come into consciousness, it's your mother and father.
Et donc, c'est sûr que nous savons que nous venons de nos mères et nos pères, donc c'est ça, la conscience était là avant nous, la conscience à eux.
And it's the act of love, as you know, that gives the spark of life that begins you.
Et c'est l'acte d'amour entre eux qui a donné la naissance à chacune et chacun d'entre nous.
But when we know the process here of how a woman's egg becomes impregnated, in the past, non-native science has believed that, well, it was the strongest sperm that swam to the egg and that's the one that got to fertilize, like as if it's just pure brute force that is the impetus to our evolution.
Et donc, si on considère la science moderne, hein, comment qu'elle pensait que la fécondation était faite, là, il disait, ah, ben c'est le sperme le plus vite, le plus fort et le plus puissant qui va arriver comme ouvrir la porte puis comme féconder l'œuf de la femme.
But in the early 1980s, with the advent of the electron magnoscope or the electromagnetoscope, probably know what I'm talking about, but in the early 1980s, they discovered this, they developed this electron magnoscope, microscope that was able then to see into things that they couldn't see before. And this is where they identified when watching the egg and the sperm interaction that, yes, a bunch of sperms got there, not just one. And it was an electrical charge from inside of the egg that then selected one of those sperms. It wasn't just one sperm that got there, the strongest. No, it was many. And she selects which one is permitted.
Et après, avec l'invention du électromagnétoscope, peut-être c'est pas le bon terme, là, mais en tout cas un microscope qui observait tout ce qui s'est passé au niveau de la fécondation, c'est là qu'ils ont pu observer qu'en fait, c'est le ovule, l'œuf féminin, qui va émettre une charge électromagnétique qui va sélectionner parmi toutes ces spermatozoïdes qui sont autour de l'œuf et en essayant de rentrer, c'est elle qui va sélectionner celui qu'elle va laisser rentrer.
So the act of love between two forces of nature, between two elements, the act of love is what sparks the electromagnetism between them. And that electromagnetism between them, when that egg selects the sperm, it is an electrical charge, just like lightning from the sky.
Et donc, c'est confirmé que ça va être justement cette charge électromagnétique qui vient de l'entité féminine qui va créer l'essence de la vie. Dans le fond, un peu comme ça se passe au printemps avec les éclairs et les tonnerres, c'est l'énergie féminine qui va produire ça.
Okay, so from there we know that we're dealing with an egg. And we know that in order for us to come into being, that our egg has to start separating and dividing, multiplying.
Et si nous savons que notre origine, c'est justement qu'on vient d'un œuf, et pour qu'on puisse grandir et avoir le corps que nous avons, bien, cet œuf-là, cette cellule première doit se diviser et s'auto-multiplier.
So think of this. Everybody knows this. If there's a cell in your body, a cell, any cell, to be alive, there has to be blood in it.
Pour qu'il y ait une cellule vivante, il faut qu'il y ait du sang là-dedans.
If there was the original cell that divided into two, and let's say one of those sides didn't have blood in it, what would happen to it? It would die, right?
Parce que si, admettons, dans la division cellulaire, au moment de se diviser en deux, il y avait une cellule qui partait avec tout le sang, qu'est-ce qui arriverait avec l'autre? Ben, il mourrait, hein?
So today, modern science tells you, or it doesn't tell you this, what we are going to tell you now.
Donc, qu'est-ce que la science moderne ne dit pas? C'est ce qui suit.
Is that the reality of once the act of love takes place and the spark of life is there within that egg,
C'est que dès le moment qu'il va voir l'étincelle de la vie et que l'acte d'amour génère ça,
there must be blood in that cell.
il faut qu'il y ait du sang dans cette cellule-là.
So in order for there to be blood in that cell, it tells you that somewhere there's blood being pumped into that cell. It's coming from somewhere.
Et afin que ça se produise, ben, d'où que ça vient, ce sang-là?
So what it tells you is the first thing to grow, physical matter, the first thing to grow after the spark of life is the heart. The heart is the very first thing to grow. But when you're seeing a cell dividing, you're not going to see a heart, not from what our perception is of a heart.
Donc, ça nous indique afin qu'il y ait le sang qui va continuer à se reproduire dans les cellules, ça prend un cœur. Mais le cœur, on ne le voit pas au niveau cellulaire parce qu'il n'a pas encore la forme comme on la connaît aujourd'hui dans nos corps.
So where is that heart? In those cells that you came from, in the womb of your mom, in the belly of your mother.
Donc, ce cœur-là, d'où que vous venez, ça venait d'où là?
We know where that heart is. It's in the mother. It's not in the next being that is created. The heart, the original heart, is in the mother because it's the mother that is pumping the blood into those cells. So the first heart that grows, the first thing that grows in a new life is the heart, but it's not in that body yet. It's still in the mother. It's her heart. That's why my heart is not my heart. My mother has given this to me. This is my mother's heart. I must live up to my mother's design of my heart.
Et donc, le cœur, ben, c'est pas exactement celui qui est à l'intérieur, mais c'est celui de la mère. C'est le cœur de la mère qui va pomper le sang. Donc, mon cœur, par exemple, n'est pas le mien. Mon cœur appartient à ma mère.
Now, of course, there's a whole set of science that contradicts this.
Et bien sûr qu'il y aurait tout un paquet des arguments scientifiques qui voudraient contredire ça.
Well, it doesn't really contradict it to say, no, that's not true. But it completely avoids the elephant in the room.
Et c'est pas qu'ils vont comme le contredire comme en disant c'est pas vrai, mais c'est juste qu'ils vont même pas le mentionner, donc ça évacue cette partie de la compréhension-là.
And this elephant in the room we're talking about is the origins of us, where our identity is rooted. And if we don't know that, where's our identity?
Et pourtant, ben, c'est nos origines. Donc, si on ne parle pas de nos origines, ben, notre racine identitaire, elle va se retrouver où après?
And then if we don't have identity and we don't know what we are of, and we're walking in this world that we are of it, and we don't know it, and you look at the behavior of all 8 billion people on the planet, they are against the very thing that we are of.
Et donc, qu'est-ce qui arrive si on est des entités qui marchent dans le monde sans cette racine identitaire-là? Et il y a toutes sortes de choses qui vont se produire parce qu'on n'est pas à la base connecté à cette identité-là.
So imagine war. Imagine you're just conscripted into war, you're drafted like has happened time and time again in the non-native world. Young men have nothing to look forward to except being drafted into war and being sent somewhere else to be killed or kill somebody else.
Comme on pense, par exemple, aujourd'hui à la guerre, tu sais, dans tous les pays, il y en a comme, bah, ils vont tirer le monde pour qu'ils viennent participer à la guerre. C'est des gens qui vont devoir s'enlister dans l'armée, puis c'est ça aujourd'hui, la façon de faire dans le monde.
And where do they recruit those young men from?
De où qu'ils vont recruter ces jeunes hommes qui vont aller à l'armée?
You're processed out of a factory.
Comme si c'est un processus d'usine.
This is part of that factory.
Ça fait partie de cette usine-là.
Schools are part of that factory that processes out this human, that this young boy sitting in that desk right there is waiting for, oh, they just know their number came up and they're plucked out of there and they're sent away to go and kill or be killed. Out of an educational institution.
Donc, c'est les institutions d'éducation, les écoles font partie de ce processus-là, comme quoi un jeune homme va avoir un numéro qui se fait tirer, puis ça dit qu'il va falloir qu'il aille à la guerre.
That cannot be education.
Ça peut pas être une éducation, ça.
And that cannot be an educational institution, because if it was, it would be protecting the people they're supposed to be educating and going against that. Some government is coming along and taking the people being educated and sending them to war. It's not an educational system.
Est-ce que ça peut être nommé comme un système éducatif alors qu'ils vont aider à processer ces jeunes hommes-là à la place comme de les sortir ou de les sauver d'aller à la guerre?
This is a keep your eyes closed system.
Donc, ça crée un système de « on va juste fermer les yeux ».
So today we're going to open those eyes
Donc, aujourd'hui, on va ouvrir ces yeux-là
to something that you know. We'll talk about one little thing about science, and you'll say, yeah.
à quelque chose que vous va entendre quelque chose par rapport à la science et vous allez dire « ah oui ».
We'll talk about 10 things, and you will agree with each of those 10 things. But when we put them all together, you're not going to believe it, because you have a whole set of programming institutionalized into you that prevents you from having your mind opened to accepting the truths of this world that you see all around you.
Et peut-être quand que vous allez entendre les affirmations, vous allez dire, ah oui, mais en même temps, il va y avoir une grande résistance dans votre esprit parce que vous avez des idées qui ont été comme formatées à partir d'un système de pensée qui vont conflictuer avec ces autres idées-là.
So the point we were going to about identity, imagine if you don't know your identity and you were sent to war. Now imagine if you are here in so-called Canada or the United States or any colonial country.
Donc, imaginez que vous êtes ici dans le soi-disant Canada ou aux États-Unis ou peu importe quel autre pays colonial.
And imagine you're conscripted.
Et imaginez que là, vous êtes forcé d'aller à la guerre.
Who would you be fighting against?
Vous allez vous battre contre qui?
Your home countries from the places that you originate from.
Les pays contre lesquels vous allez vous battre, ben, c'est comme les pays de votre origine.
So imagine me beating up my own father.
Donc, imaginez que moi, je donne de coups à mon propre père.
I would either be crazy, I would have to be insane, or else not know that that's my father. I wouldn't have to not know that I am his son.
Mais je devrais être complètement fou ou je devrais être complètement inconsciente du fait de savoir que je ne suis pas le fils de cet homme-là.
Identity confusion.
Donc, il y a une grande confusion identitaire là.
Because everybody who's ever considered themselves to be a Canadian, you have all waged war against the very countries, the very bloodlines that you come from.
Parce que tout le monde qui se considère aujourd'hui canadienne, canadien, ont fait la guerre au pays desquels vous venez.
That doesn't make sense.
Ça n'a pas de sens, ça.
If I was to start fighting against my own family, beating them up, killing them because I hate them, because some construct of a country tells me these are my enemies, I would have to be brainless.
Si moi, j'allais me battre contre ma propre famille parce qu'un construit imaginaire d'un pays me dit que je dois me battre contre quelqu'un d'autre, ben, je devrais être fou.
Or else, maybe just that you have never had access to the truth before.
Ou peut-être vous n'avez jamais eu accès à la vérité auparavant.
So here's the truth of that process once again, of knowing your identity. I know that I come from Sky Woman. I know she gave me my spirit.
Donc, de là, l'importance à nouveau de connaître notre identité. Puis, comme je l'ai dit, moi, je viens de la femme ciel.
I know that Grandma Moon's given me my blood.
Et je sais que Grand-Maman Lune me donne mon sang.
I know, as you know, Mother Earth has given you your body.
Et je sais, comme vous, que c'est Mama Terre qui nous a donné notre corps.
At the very least, you can figure out that Mother Earth has provided you with your body.
Et au moins, vous pouvez savoir que vous avez votre corps grâce à Mère Terre, c'est sûr. Là.
So where did your blood come from?
Donc, d'où que votre sang vient
Where did your spirit come
et
from?
votre esprit?
Or is it that because of the institutional thinking that we don't believe in spirit?
Ou est-ce que c'est à cause de la pensée institutionnelle qu'on ne croit pas à l'esprit?
But yet everything backing this institution and every educational system is all rooted in its history is rooted in different religions, which means that it's rooted in different concepts of spirituality.
Et quand on considère que les institutions éducatives contemporaines viennent à la base des différents courants de pensée religieuses, ben, il y a plusieurs idées différentes qui créent ces institutions-là.
So through institutions, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs are then not co-opted, they're put in a box where you can't think that any longer.
Et donc, ces idées religieuses et spirituelles vont être comme gardées dans une boîte et après, la pensée libre n'est plus.
And we got to accept what the institution is.
Et c'est comme si nous devons accepter c'est quoi l'institution,
But it doesn't tell you who you are.
mais ça ne vous dit pas qui vous êtes,
It doesn't tell you where you are or when you are.
où que vous êtes et quand vous l'êtes.
I have a complete system of a map of creation and a calendar of creation.
Moi, j'ai un système au complet de la création qui est le calendrier
And that is within the turtle's back.
et c'est au sein de la carapace de la tortue.
You are in institutions based on a work week.
Et vous êtes dans des institutions basées sur une semaine de travail.
You have had your time sliced and diced, quartered into approximately, say, four weeks a month, 12 months a year?
Et vos journées sont coupées à peu près dans 4 semaines dans un mois, 7 jours dans une semaine.
Where does that come from?
Et d'où que ça vient, ça?
You know for certain that is not any real cyclical motion in Mother Earth.
Vous savez certainement que ça n'appartient pas à un cycle naturel de notre mère Terre.
It kind of looks similar to one
Ça pourrait être comme semblable, comme reconnaissable à quelque chose.
because there is a fact of on the turtle's back, it identifies 13 moons, not 12 months, 13 moons on the turtle's back. And as you know, within 12 months, there are in fact 13 moons.
Et si on regarde la carapace de la tortue, on va voir qu'il y a 13 écailles qui indiquent le cycle annuel de 13 lunes. Donc, vous savez qu'il n'y a pas 12 mois dans une année. En fait, c'est ça ce qu'on nous dit, mais il y a 13 lunes naturelles dans une cycle.
And straight down the turtle's back, there's 5 squares.
Et au centre de cette carapace, il y a 5 écailles carrées.
This is where your concept in time of a work week comes from, 5 days.
C'est de là le concept de travail, en fait, la semaine de travail, là, 5 jours.
Now, there's 2 other days in your concept of time, Saturday and Sunday.
Et il y a 2 autres jours dans votre conception du temps, samedi et dimanche.
And you're locked into it because there is a familiarity to it within the cycles of creation.
Ça a une familiarité parce que ça s'approche au cycle de la création.
That around the outer edge of the turtle shell, there is 28 little squares. That represents the 28 days in each moon. Now, every woman on earth, every life giver will verify that to you. But the calendar that you keep, that you follow, is a male dominant one. It's a Gregorian calendar. You don't even know where that came from.
Et si vous regardez à l'extérieur, il va y avoir 28 petits carrés qui indiquent justement la quantité de jours qu'il va y avoir dans un cycle lunaire. Et toutes les femmes peuvent se relationner à cette conception-là. Mais c'est sûr que si on parle du calendrier grégorien, comment ça qu'on a des mois de 30, de 31, d'où que ça vient cette conception-là? Est-ce que vous le savez?
But just a little side note for you. The Gregorian calendar is rooted in its first year. If you don't know this, they identified it as the year of confusion, which lasted, get this, 442 days,
Something like that.
something like that, approximately. Imagine somebody coming and telling you the year is 442 days. Are you going to believe that? Are you that disconnected from reality to believe 442 days is a year?
N'importe qui peut faire la recherche sur Google de la transition du calendrier julien au grégorien. Il y a eu la première année du calendrier grégorien qui a été appelée en fait l'année de la confusion parce qu'ils ont dit pour faire la transition cette année-là, il va y avoir 400 et je ne sais pas combien de jours là. Donc comment se fait-il que le monde a accepté que il va y avoir une année de 400 et quelques jours?
Okay, so what's familiar here to you? How you get sucked into the mind control
Et donc comment on se fait absorber par le contrôle de l'esprit?
is that in each moon, 28 days, these rings of 28 days tells you something. That if you start here, let's say you start from new moon or full moon, 14 days from then is going to be the halfway point. And then the quarter point in between that is 7 days.
Et comment que ça apparente au calendrier grégorien, c'est que si on suit le cycle justement des 28 jours, ben si on commence à la nouvelle lune, la mi-chemin va être la pleine lune au 14e jour et la mi-chemin entre ça, ça va être 7 jours, qui est l'écart de lune.
So this is how they lock you into a false belief of something. It's like saying, this chair right here is, I don't know, it's an electric chair. It's just a chair, but you get me to believe it's an electric chair based on the fact that I know what chairs look like.
Et donc, comme ça, les petites subtilités vont enfermer l'esprit dans quelque chose de la vérité vers un faux construit. Donc, par exemple, si moi je vous dis, ben voilà une chaise électrique, là, ben, tu sais, c'est clairement juste une chaise, mais si je vous dis que c'est une chaise électrique et je vous convainc de ça, ben après, ça va être une chaise électrique.
So your concept of time is completely wrong.
Donc, c'est la conception du temps comme ça qui est complètement erronée.
No, to understand quantum entanglement, time is not separated from space.
Et pour comprendre, comment on appellerait ça, là, tu sais, ta question quantique du temps et de l'espace, on le sait bien, c'est une des bases des questionnements philosophiques. On ne peut pas avoir le temps sans l'espace et vice-versa.
Because in space, time does not exist.
Parce que dans le temps, l'espace n'existe pas.
Because when you think of space, space is something that's empty. There's nothing there.
L'espace, c'est comme quelque chose de vide qui n'est pas là.
If there's nothing there, how do you know what time it is?
Et s'il n'est pas là, comment vous savez quelle est l'heure ou quel est le temps?
Once there is something there, this is where the concept of time comes from.
Mais quand il y a quelque chose là, à partir de ce moment-là, on peut parler du temps.
Because the first time it's there, as we all know things to be, that just like you were a baby, you don't look like a baby no more. So in your growth of being here, this is where the concept of time is. Hey, look at me, I was a baby, I was only 1 foot tall. Now I'm 2 foot tall. Now I'm 3 foot and I'm bigger and bigger. So the concept of time is derived from space itself, the physical construct of space.
Et donc, aujourd'hui, par exemple, la forme que vous avez, vous n'êtes plus un bébé. Donc, c'est sûr qu'on peut constater dans notre propre corps qu'il y a eu du temps qui est passé, qui a évolué.
We got the film to show.
Okay, so the concept for you to understand here is that your whole perception of space and time is wrong. If you took out a map to say, I'm going to Ottawa, you're starting with a map that's taking you to Toronto. So follow that map and think that, well, along the way to Ottawa, I'm going to stop at Herb's roadside service station. Hey, where is it? You're not going to find it because you're on your way to Toronto. You're not going to find what you expect on the pathway to Ottawa.
Et tout ça pour dire que si vous voulez aller à quelque part, mettons vous allez à Ottawa, mais que la carte que vous prenez, c'est pour aller à Toronto, bien, bonne chance pour y arriver.
And so here we are, you, me, every single one of us, we are made up of a sacred three.
Donc, nous toutes et tous, on est fait à partir de trois sacrés.
You know it as protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Vous le connaissez comme proton, électron, neutron.
What is it? Can you point one out to me? Where do you see it? Where is the proton, neutron, or electron?
Est-ce que vous pouvez me le signaler? Il se trouve où, là?
Of course, when you understand the science of it, you can see it everywhere. But can you relate to it? What the hell is a proton? Where is it?
Ben, c'est sûr que là, quand on vous l'explique, on comprend le principe, mais si on peut les voir, il est où? À quoi ça ressemble?
This is your concept. This is how you identify to it. Proton, neutron, electron. And you don't understand it because that's not layman's terms. That's somebody's terms of some scientific mumbo jumbo created so that they hoard information and knowledge from you.
Et donc, là, vous connaissez électron, proton, neutron, mais ça veut dire quoi? Ben, en fait, vous ne le savez même pas parce que ça a été créé par quelqu'un qui a créé un lexicon pour vous confondre et pour garder de l'information, pas que vous sachiez le tout, puis ça soit eux qui la conservent.
But what you know as protons, neutrons, and electrons, forget it. Toss that out the window. Use it as your foundation to having a higher level of understanding, which is that what all the original peoples of Turtle Island understand that we are built on what you call protons, neutrons, and electrons, we call turtle, wolf, and bear. These are traits. And you can see traits in everything. You can see traits in everyone. I can see turtle, wolf, or bear in you. I can see it in your eyebrows. I can see it in your actions. But I cannot see a proton, neutron, or electron within you. And you cannot see that within me either. You cannot relate to that.
C'est sûr que c'est la même compréhension à la base, mais si vous me dites en neutron, on a déjà établi, on ne sait pas c'est quoi, mais si je vous dis il y a la tortue, il y a le loup, il y a l'ours, à ce moment-là, on peut voir des traits, des caractéristiques chez chacune des personnes et on peut vraiment comprendre et saisir qu'est-ce que ça veut dire.
We don't have time right now to go into what those traits are. This would have to be at another time. If you are so inclined to pursue this information, it would be at another time. But just for you to know that there are certain traits, take for instance, of a bear. What can you, anyone in here, what can you identify a trait of a bear?
Eh bien là, on n'a pas le temps vraiment là, d'aller approfondir avec les caractéristiques de ces trois clans, mais admettons, si on pense à un ours, là, un clan de l'ours, là, ce serait quoi la caractéristique à laquelle vous pouvez penser?
Anyone?
Quelqu'un?
Protection.
Protection.
La protection.
What kind of protection?
Quel type de protection?
Mother
Mother protection.
La maman.
Of what?
of cubs.
Of babies, of the next generation, of what bear is. It's the mother that protects what bear is.
Mais de ces petits bébés, puis c'est justement la mère qui va protéger les prochaines générations.
As a matter of fact, you know that male bears, mother bears do not allow male bears around cubs. Forget it. If there's mother in here in this room, let's imagine we're bears. All the guys, get out of this room. The mothers will not allow you in this room.
Et les mères, là, ours, là, vous le savez, là, s'il y a des mâles qui s'approchent, ils vont pas laisser s'approcher aux petits, là, parce que ils savent c'est quoi qui peut se passer.
Okay, so that's just one trait. Like I said, there are many traits that we can go into explaining to you this further. But right now, at this time, just to give you the bare basics, that trait right there. Do you see it anywhere in protons, neutrons, electrons that make up this chair? No, because the concept of creation is different. So I can do harm to those things and put them in this chair.
Là, il y aurait d'autres caractéristiques à expliquer, mais là, on n'a pas le temps. Mais justement, cet exemple de la protection de l'ours, ben, est-ce que tu peux voir cette caractéristique dans un électron, un proton ou un neutron? Non.
Anyways, over the course of evolution, how protons, neutrons, and electrons, or turtle, wolf, and bear, from their beginning state, you know that it's just one thing that broke off into two other things to create the sacred three.
Et donc, vous savez que c'est une chose qui s'est passée en deux pour créer les trois sacrés.
And then over the expanse of time, the diversity of Sky Woman's dream and expanding, of course, every cell in our body is then held together in a way that takes us from one dimension into the next, because every cell in my body has one dimension. It has a consciousness. It's communicating with the cells around it. But yet when you put those all together, it brings me, collective, to the next higher level of consciousness.
Et le plus que ces trois niveaux de conscience se rassemblent, ils vont être capables d'évoluer vers la prochaine étape de conscience.
So when you put people together who have this understanding together, they're based on the sacred tree, they understand the tree, they understand creation, and therefore decisions, things that we do are going to be based on our understanding. We're not going to hurt them. The non-native world hurts them, hurts everything.
Et quand on a cette compréhension ensemble en commun, les gens qui se mettent à parler des affaires, ben, ils vont pouvoir justement évoluer à cette prochaine étape, alors que si dans le monde non autochtone, cette compréhension n'est pas là, ben, c'est très facile après d'endommager, de faire des nuisances à notre mère Terre.
As we went on in our evolution and created, basically you can translate from the beginnings of those sacred tree, it translates in today, the sacred tree is you, your mother, and your grandmother. That's the sacred three. It's within you, the life giver.
Et chez la donneuse de vie, les trois sacrés, ben, c'est vous, votre maman et votre grand-maman.
And this is the reason why male dominance, for thousands of years in your world, you can't even pinpoint where the hell did you go wrong? Where did it start to happen? But for thousands of years, this is what males have done to you. They created this false concept of marriage that enables the male to steal you out of the arms of your mother, taking you somewhere else, into somebody else's house, away from your house, which is never supposed to happen. A woman is never supposed to leave her mother's side. There is supposed to be grandmother, mother, and daughter constantly throughout your life.
Et ce qui s'est passé avec le processus de colonisation et son héritage, c'est que c'est la femme qui va être déracinée de sa mère, sa grand-mère, sa collectivité et mise dans la maison de l'époux. Et donc, ça, après génération, ça fait en sorte que les gens ne soient plus enracinés parce qu'une femme, pour être complète, elle doit toujours être en lien avec sa mère et sa grand-mère et les femmes de sa famille.
Because it's where you are solid. That's your house. That's your identity. That's where you will make decisions with mom and grandma. And you know those decisions are going to be solid.
Parce que c'est là que vous êtes solide, vous allez faire les décisions avec votre maman et votre grand-maman et c'est comme ça que ça va être impeccable.
So what this process is of nuclear power, all of a sudden we have risen out of nothing. We have manifested physical matter. We have grown consciousness, and our collective consciousness decides to tear it all apart, to create nuclear, to kill.
Et alors, on vient de ces trois sacrés-là, on est donné de la vie grâce à ça, et du coup, il y a l'énergie nucléaire qui fait en sorte de complètement défaire ce tissu du vivant qui est créé à partir de ces trois sacrés-là.
And right now you think nuclear in your head, tell me if I'm wrong, you think nuclear is a power plant or it's a bomb.
Et aujourd'hui, si je vous dis nucléaire, vous allez dire, bon, OK, c'est une bombe atomique, OK, c'est une usine nucléaire.
And so you think, you know, that nuclear power plants, well, you got to have security, you got to have a certain protection. Same thing with nuclear bombs.
Et vous savez que, bon, dans une usine nucléaire, vous devez avoir de la sécurité, une certaine protection. Même chose avec les bombes atomiques, c'est sûr.
But the nuclear power that's going all around you, going on all around you, you don't think nothing about it. You don't want no safety from it.
Mais le pouvoir nucléaire qui est à côté de vous, ben, vous ne voulez même pas protéger contre ça.
What is that nuclear power?
Et c'est quoi ce pouvoir nucléaire-là?
Things like CERN or Fermilab, that's nuclear power.
Des choses comme CERN, l'accélérateur des particules, ou Fermilab.
But okay, it's a wrong statement. It's not nuclear power, it's nuclear death.
En fait, c'est même pas l'énergie nucléaire, mais de la mort nucléaire.
Because what goes on at CERN?
Qui arrive à CERN, là,
A centrifuge, right?
en centrifuge.
So what do they do in a centrifuge? What do they do at CERN?
Qu'est-ce qui arrive dans un centrifuge?
So what you do is there an issue?
Yeah, I just asked him to delete that picture he took of me.
Okay, Cesar,
César?
No more pictures here, just us. Okay, so, and that one, delete that picture of him. Okay, where was I?
Fermilab, CERN.
Fermilab. Okay, what goes on there? What do? They split hydrogen atoms apart. They take them apart. Now remember, an atom, turtle, wolf, and bear, on that level, but on our collective level, it's a granddaughter, a mother, and a grandmother. Think of that. This is what happens at CERN.
Donc, dans ces endroits d'accélération des particules, ils vont complètement annihiler les atomes d'hydrogène, ils vont complètement les défaire. Et si on pense à nouveau aux trois sacrés des atomes qui sont composés des neutrons, électrons et protons, imaginez encore les trois sacrés de la femme, de la mère, de la grand-mère.
So they rip the bear out of the wolf's arms.
Ils vont arracher l'ours des bras du loup.
They rip the granddaughter out of the mother's arms.
Ils vont arracher la petite fille des bras de la grand-maman.
In the process, they separate the mother from the grandmother.
Dans le processus, elle sépare la mère de la grand-mère.
And they send the grandmother into the centrifuge, spinning in one direction, and the granddaughter spinning in the other direction, and they smash their heads together, obliterating them, destroying them, killing them. That is not the creation of energy. It is the end of energy. Science, modern science, has discovered a way how to end energy.
Et qu'est-ce qu'ils font? C'est qu'ils vont envoyer la grand-mère dans une direction, la petite fille dans une autre, et ils vont les accélérer afin que ça soit carrément leur tête qui vont s'écraser et s'auto-annihiler. Donc, on dit que c'est la production d'énergie, mais dans le fond, ce processus-là est la fin de l'énergie vitale.
And you know why the resulting thing that they create, like a bomb, you know why it has such devastating effects?
Et vous savez pourquoi que les effets sont si dévastateurs que ça?
Picture, just imagine if you were the mother. Picture your mother, the grandmother, and your daughter. Picture them being ripped out of you and right in front of you, spun around and having their heads smashed together and killed right in front of you. The enormous amount of energy. If somebody came along right now and tried to snuff your life out, you'd be fighting to the death. You would be able to have more energy than what you could imagine. This is the theft of energy. This is the death of energy. Nuclear, atomic, it's the death. When science says no energy dies, that it's only a transfer, they are a lie, because atomic, nuclear is the end of energy. It's the end of the line, traveling for bazillions of years to meet a scientist that kills it.
Et donc, si on pense à nouveau, mettez-vous dans les souliers de la mère qui va voir que sa grand-mère, sa mère puis sa petite fille arrivent et sont complètement écrasées devant elle. C'est sûr que c'est une immense quantité d'énergie qui arrive à ce moment-là, mais c'est une énergie de mort. Donc, quand la science vous dit que l'énergie, ça ne fait pas se perdre, mais juste se transformer, c'est un grand mensonge parce que ce processus-là, il tue tout ce qui a été créé par des générations et générations de continuité de la vie.
For some reason, science just does not see your mother. Science does not give a damn about your mother.
Et pour une raison, la science ne voit pas votre mère, ils s'en foutent de ça.
Does science identify our Earth as mother?
Est-ce que la science identifie notre Terre comme notre mère?
You'll never hear that in an institution of learning. So what kind of learning are you being taught?
Est-ce que vous allez entendre ça dans une institution éducative? Et sinon, quel type d'éducation recevez-vous? Alors,
All of us are born of the earth.
nous sommes toutes et tous nés de la Terre.
None of you know or have your relationship with Mother Earth.
Et personne ne connaît plus ou a une relation avec notre Mère Terre.
And right now, because of this very process, nuclear, of splitting the grandmother apart from the mother and the daughter and annihilating them, killing them right in front of the mother, it leaves the mother left in this world like crazy. She has been made crazy.
Et c'est à cause de ce processus-là d'annihiler la grand-mère avec la petite fille que la mère demeure là toute seule, complètement dans la folie. Donc, ce processus rend la femme folle.
And never mind about the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All the ones that were dropped before that in the Bikini Islands in New Mexico, here in so-called Canada, that you don't even hear about, that you don't think about. When those bombs dropped, the very first one, your mind, our minds collectively, has never been the same again. We have been an altered species since the very first atom was split. Where was it? In Cambridge, I think, in a little hockey puck-sized centrifuge.
Et on parle de Hiroshima, Nagasaki, mais qu'est-ce qu'il y a de tous ces essais nucléaires au préalable? Et en fait, c'est comme si on ne comprend pas que notre essence d'espèce a été modifiée à cause de ça. À partir du moment qu'ils ont fait la première rupture de l'atome à Cambridge, je ne me rappelle pas dans quelle année.
Just as an example here, hold hands.
Comme un exemple, si on se prend des mains,
This is us. This is humanity.
c'est l'humanité, ça.
Everything's built this way.
Tout est construit comme ça.
Trees are built this way.
Les arbres,
Clouds are built this
les
way.
nuages.
Your love for Chinese food is built this way.
Votre amour pour la bouffe chinoise.
Your love for your children is structured like this.
Comme ça.
Okay, so who's going to be happy with this? With somebody coming along and breaking that? Are you going to be happy?
C'est qui va être heureux si on vient puis on nous passe?
Wait, look, they were still together.
Ah, ben, ils étaient encore ensemble.
So you can kind of be a little bit happy, but let's just break that too, because we're against happiness.
Mais vous pouvez être quand même un peu heureux, mais si on le coupe aussi, ben, parce qu'on est à l'encontre du bonheur.
The mother had the sacred protection of the mother before her. The direction, her path was solid.
La mère avant avait son chemin solide.
And her having this connection since the beginning of time, she's passing on something solid, identity, to her daughter. Not anymore. Not anymore. You know who's passing on identity to her? The ones that create nuclear power. They are creating monsters of everyone in this earth who likes to think themselves as scientists or educated.
Eh bien, avant, si elle était complètement solide, puis avec cette solidité, c'est ça ce qu'il transmettait à ses générations. Une fois qu'elle est complètement coupée de ça, ben, c'est le manque de ça qui est passé aux générations.
Okay, there is a lot more to this that we could address, that we could, obviously, that we could share with you.
Mais c'est sûr qu'on pourrait continuer à dire bien d'affaires.
Okay, but time-wise, what do we got?
We have to go to the film.
Okay,
It's
sure.
open up.
Okay, so we're going to Martin's film now. So from this foundational thinking, watch his film,
Et donc,
absorb that film, knowing all of this. Don't wait till afterwards to have an opinion. Know what the fact is before you're killed. Know that that person coming to you with a gun or whatever, know what their intent is. Don't be tricked by it once they're there and they got the gun to your head and they pull the trigger and say, oh, I didn't know.
et donc, maintenant que cette base de pensée a été présentée, vous pouvez maintenant regarder le film et observer tout ça à partir de ces lunettes-là.
Okay, so we got to get to that film. That's what we're going to do, everybody. So if there's time afterwards, we'll get to discuss it.
Donc, on va y aller tout de suite et si on a du temps après, bien, on va pouvoir en parler ensemble.
You like that before? Let's hear it. What the heck? Hear it. Wow. Smack me.
I am not sure, but it came from over there, turned to the east, and then flew over the city. Not the bomb.
Eliminating grays is as easy as combing your hair.
How do we,
Just making income income, just twist and comb, getting natural looking results.
Let's get this meeting started.
Has never been easy. Most men trust just for men.
I think you just gotta wait for it to say skip.
Yeah. Okay.
The city was destroyed by just one bomb.
I still it's so dark I saw on the TV.
The Americans used us as guinea pigs. That's what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
No, I see a bite on here. What's that bite?
In a minute, we'll share it again on the Zoom.
What?
Partagez-le.
The sound wasn't shared, so on the Facebook Live and the Zoom, just hearing this one.
申し訳ないと思う気持ちもあります。
死んだ方に、原爆で死んだ方に対して私たちは
I still feel guilty sometimes about all those people who died.
今でもあります。なぜ落死した人が
When the image of those helpless people comes back to my mind, crying for help,
助けてくれ
saying,
という
"Give me water, give me water,"
続けながら水をくれ水をくれと言いながら
how much they suffered.
気持ちを思えば
When we think about that,
たものは
we survivors feel very guilty.
強いのです。
I haven't seen you for a while. How are you these days?
だんだん悪くなる。
Getting worse.
まだ立ち上がる
You
こと
can
は
still stand up, can't you?
No.
あら、もうそれもできなかった。
You can't anymore.
I get dizzy. I can't even sit up or lie on my side. I just lie on my back, facing the ceiling.
前はまだあれでもね、
You were able to sit up last time.
座ってね。
Yes, I could do that before.
手はまだ
You can move your hand, can't you?
Yes, that is the only thing I can move.
せめて目でも見えりゃまだね。
If at least you could see.
My eyes don't work. My legs don't move. Once in a while, I can't help wondering what I live for. I am ashamed to think of such a thing, though. I must think that I am lucky to be alive. But since the Americans did such a cruel thing to me, I cannot help sometimes thinking like that.
They don't consider us human.
No. I don't like to think of it because it only makes me feel sad.
僕もね、本当
I too was afraid of remembering those things.
思い出し
I
て
kept silent about being
言わなかった。
a hibakusha.
I can understand.
どうしてもな
I cannot help crying whenever I think about it.
ここのね、病院の上をいつも飛行機
Many
が飛ぶん
airplanes
ですね。
fly over this hospital.
それが空襲のような気がしてね。
It sounds like an air raid and it frightens
怖いん
me.
ですよね。ここの県知事さん
I wonder why the governor lets planes fly over here.
言うて思うんですけどね。
It is really frightening to hear the terrible noise of those airplanes.
立てて通るのがどうしても飛行機の時
The sound of an airplane reminds us of August 6th, the day that changed our lives.
B29 のこと考えますからね。
I can't help remembering the B-29s.
I understand your life is hard, but we must try to live through it anyway.
Yes.
本当ね。本当なかなかいい言葉も浮かばんけども。
I can't think of anything else to say, but I suppose it is important to do the best we can to keep alive.
今度またニューヨーク行ってこういう人も
When I go to New York, I will tell everybody that there are people here like yourself.
ありがとうございました。
Yes, please tell them.
来てね。元気よくなったら
I am leaving now.
頑張って。じゃあ
Please take care.
お休みなさい
Goodbye.
これで失礼しますから。はい。はい。どうも。はい。お気をつけて。
Thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
ましょうか。もちろんこうして占領されているわけですからね、アメリカの兵隊に。
Of course, we have been occupied by the Americans, and we don't feel too easy about that.
ちょっとこう嫌な感じになると思うんですけど。現にベトナム戦争の時は全部行ってたんですからね。
During the war in Vietnam, the airplanes took off from here, and the nuclear-capable Marine unit used to go from here too.
今あそこに並んでる飛行
You
機。
see those airplanes over there? They are 4M Skyhawks. They can carry nuclear weapons. There are about 50 planes here that can carry nuclear weapons.
As many as that?
だからこう何の変哲もないような基地なん
You
で
might think that the space is not important, but in fact it is very dangerous.
Oh my god.
皆さんようこそ。私は広島の
How do you do?
から1.およそ6
When the bomb was dropped, I was working about 1.6 kilometers from the hypocenter near Fujimicho.
勤労奉仕の作業に借りた
I was then on a work committee to clear away buildings for fire paths.
被爆、発熱の先行のために、
The flash of the bomb destroyed my eyesight.
建物の爆発の、
And as I was later told, I was lying under the debris of the collapsed building for 2 days, unconscious.
そうです。私は全然記憶はありま
I
せん。
have no recollection of this.
入体内臓の疾患
Since then, for over 30 years, I have suffered from more than 5 kinds of illnesses, including abdominal troubles and a reduction of white blood cells.
それでも命
Even so, I am lucky to be alive today,
の苦しみは
though I have been in and out of the hospital for the last 37 years.
皆さん大勢の
It is beyond anybody's imagination how hard life has been for the Yibaksha.
想像に余ることで
More than 400,000 of us.
30何年の後までも私は
And even today, my life is full of rage and
心の
pain.
痛みを燃やし続けて暮らしております。再び戦争を起こしてはならない。
It is easy to say, we will never repeat this mistake. May you rest in peace.
戦争を
But in fact, as long as there is risk of such a war, we cannot rest in peace.
こうやって
This is why I am going to the United Nations,
失明同様
even though I need a cane to walk
国連に
and I am virtually blind.
頭の狂ったレーガン政権の
I am going to appeal to the world for the complete elimination of nuclear weapons
全世界の人
and to tell the people all over the world and the young generation not to let the sufferings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki be repeated.
国連に行くつもりです。 皆さんこんにちは。私は
Hello, everybody.
1945年
At 8:15 in the morning, the 6th of August 1945, I became one of the victims of the first atomic attack in the history of the world.
砲撃を受けた
I am here to make an appeal for the total elimination of nuclear weapons
兵器を
and the banning of limited nuclear war.
戦争を阻止。ノーモア広島、ノーモア長崎、ノーモアオール。ピース、ピース、ピース。
「
This building too must be abandoned.
I see some people.
And that building.
These buildings are inhabited.
The buildings are burnt down now. Where would you like to live? In a private house. Paradise house. Right. Paradise. It would be nice.
With a single atomic bomb, the city of Hiroshima turned into what you see in this picture, a ruined city. This picture shows Yukibashi Bridge, close to where I was at the moment the bomb was dropped. This is another picture of someone who died instantly. Her face was burned. The nose and eyes are gone. This is a back. This is only one person who died because of the atomic bomb. There were 100,000 in Hiroshima and about 80,000 in Nagasaki.
Like, years ago in the war, and I didn't think it really would happen.
You didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
I talked to many people in the class, and nobody has even heard of Hiroshima.
This sister's still alive or dead? Sorry? The one that was still alive. The one that was under the house. She's still alive to help you get out. The one that was under the house.
That sister was later?
She's still alive or dead?
You, children. I would like children all over the world who wish for peace to join hands and build a world where another war will never happen again. I was born in 1940, so I was 5 years old at that time. I was outside playing soldiers. It was 8:15 in the morning. Inside the house was my older sister. The others were either at school or working with the cleanup committee. The bomb was dropped. Although I was outside, I was not exposed to the flash, so I didn't get burned much. So I don't have many keloid scars. I was 1.8 kilometers from the dome where the bomb was dropped. In a way, it was a miracle that I survived. It is said that almost everybody within 2 kilometers was killed instantly. Although I didn't get exposed to the direct flash, I was blown 3 meters away by the shock. When I became conscious again, I found myself in someone else's house. It was totally dark, and it frightened a little boy like me. So neighbors evacuating from the area took me out of the house. I went back to my house. Our 2-story wooden house had collapsed from the shock. And I saw my oldest sister under the debris. crying, "Help me." I could see her. Since I could see her, I tried everything I could to rescue her. Digging her out. But since I was a little boy, I couldn't do it. Meanwhile, my 9-year-old sister came back. She was in elementary school. The left side of her body was severely burned.
Burning. The left side of the body was burning.
Her skin was hanging. It wasn't a recognizable body that she had anymore. Together we tried to get my oldest sister out. But even together, we couldn't do it. In the meantime, the fire reached our house. Our neighbors came and forced us to leave. My sister, who was under the house, thought she couldn't be rescued, so she said to our neighbor, "Auntie, please take Tadahiko and Setsuko away from here." So she grabbed us by the hand and took us away, running, although we wanted to stay. The sister who ran away with me died September 10th.
ABCC っていうアメリカのこの原爆の被害の実情を調査する機関が広島と長崎にできたんですけどね。
Then, an American organization called ABCC was established to investigate the after effects of the atomic bomb on those who survived.
僕たちが小学校で勉強してる時でも
Even when we were studying at school, American soldiers came by jeep and picked us up saying,
"Hey you, hey you" って
"Hey you."
引っ張り出されてその ABCC に連れて行かれるんです。
And took us to the ABCC Atomic Bomb Casualty Commission.
で治療してくれるんじゃない。
Not that they ever treated us. They never gave us treatment.
どんなに具合の悪い子供たちでも
However sick a child was,
研究だけやって一つ
they never treated him. They only studied us.
帰りにキャンディー一つくれるだけ。
A piece of candy was all they gave us when we were leaving.
不幸なことだと思いますよ。アメリカ人がね、やっぱり自分たちが人
That Americans are not made aware of this fact is terrible.
人間の上に核兵器を落とす。
Americans must reflect seriously upon the fact they dropped the nuclear bomb on human beings for the first time in history.
非戦闘員子供たちの上に
Besides, they dropped it on civilians and children.
落とした。これはね、人類史上に
I think this is an indelible stain on the history of mankind.
知らなくちゃいけない。
They must know it.
ソ連とアメリカが核兵器の 95% 持ってるんだから。
Americans and Russians, they own 95% of the total nuclear weapons in the world. People like Reagan say it would be all right if there's a limited nuclear war.
自分の国は 自分の国と
We and Russians would not receive any damage.
ヨーロッパとかアジアの一部で核戦争やることはいいじゃないかってことを言い出した。
They are saying that it would be okay as long as nuclear war is limited to Europe or Asia.
What are you doing tonight?
Novocaine is now streaming on Paramount Plus.
I'm in.
It's an adrenaline rush of fun.
Let the magic happen.
That is so good. Novocaine.
The skip was there.
Yeah.
It just showed up when you moved the screen.
Oh, yeah, sure.
一人がやっぱり訴えねばならない時期になって。
We have come to a time when every survivor must speak out.
同じグループでもう被爆者。
There are many survivors in this group who came with me this time, and everybody feels the same way.
話したくないんだ。だけど話さなくちゃならないっていう。
Nobody is happy about speaking of their experience because they cannot do so without tears and pain.
訴えるために来てるんだ。
But they have decided to come here. Although they feel great anguish, they feel they must speak out. They try to find every occasion to talk to people.
だから殺してもいいんだよ。体の上には。
It is ridiculous to say dropping an atomic bomb is all right, as long as it is not on one's own country.
As long as it's not America, it's okay to drop the bomb.
同じ人間ですよ。本当に。
We are all human beings alike.
Okay, to save time, we should just get back into it right away because we only got like a minute or two. Do we even have a minute?
Yeah.
Got 1 minute. Okay, so as you all see, what's in the video, it's not Martin that is the subject. It's not him that is the issue, but we give thanks that he put this together because it brings light, it sheds light on something that maybe in areas that we've never thought about, even though it's an old film. I mean, even you see the things that are in there, the protests that they were at in Central Park, that was 1982, 23 years ago. What? 43 years ago. I didn't go to school, so. Anyways, you see that this information now today, you gotta wonder, if this was there 43 years ago, how come we're at this stage? How could we be where, regardless of if it's nuclear or atomic or whatever, you look at those images of Nagasaki or Hiroshima. What's the difference of the images that we see in Gaza today? What's the difference of the images that we see in Ukraine or any place else in the world? What's being addressed here is not what needs to be addressed. You are still within the concept of war. Think of this. Higher educational institutions and forgot translation. Higher educational institutions, and there's still war all around you. What is this institution of higher education? It's a construct adding to it, supporting it, substantiating it. It's you, the individual, that has to break out of this, because the systems are never going to open up your mind and tell you the truth or teach you the truth. They're going to be there whipping you with a ruler when you say, hey, is this doesn't add up, the same way like that they done to my people. What happened to me when I was a kid? It's happening to you right now. You just cannot perceive it.
Donc, dans le fond, c'est, tu sais, même si le film est déjà, il y a quelques années, on parle de la manifestation qui s'est passée à New York en 82, donc ça fait 43 ans de ça. On s'entend que le film fait par Martin est tellement incroyable. Donc, ce qui est pas adressé, dans le fond, c'est que ces mêmes construits mentaux qui ont permis qu'une guerre se produise, ils sont encore là. Donc, chaque institution fait partie de ça qui continue à perpétuer ça.
Okay, so for the people who joined us on the Zoom, we apologize, Radharani, we apologize. Everything was just too squeezed today and we got like zero time left. So we have to go here into the people that are here. If there's anything that anybody wants to address on this, if there isn't, then we will continue until we're kicked out.
Et donc, ben, on a un petit peu de temps là, et désolé pour les gens qui sont en ligne parce qu'on n'a pas comme le temps d'aller tout de suite à vous. On va commencer par les gens qui sont ici, s'il y a quelque chose à dire, quelqu'un qui voudrait dire de quoi.
This is something that you don't necessarily have to have a question about or even a statement. When you're exposed to stuff like this and you see the nonsense, no logic involved, you're kind of floored by the circumstance. You're kind of like set aside of yourself, not comprehending the crazy situation that we're all still in, regardless of that happened 1945. Where we are, we're almost 100 years later, and we're still in war. You haven't addressed the concepts of war. What difference does it make if you got a bow and arrow or if they got a shotgun at you? Does it make a difference? They're still out to kill you. You can't address the weapons. You gotta address the concept of war, the evilness of it, which every part of every colonial country on earth, every part of it, the education, the organizations, every part of it supports war. It goes to it. You pay your taxes to war. You pay your taxes to war. And that means right now you paid your taxes to killing women and children. So think of that line of granddaughter, mother, and grandmother. Your taxes go to kill them. No matter in what country you are on earth, something is seriously wrong at the core. From 1946, 45, you have been altered genetically. You cannot think as humans any longer.
Et ben, s'il n'y a pas comme une question ou quelque chose à dire, c'est peut-être parce que c'est tellement comme difficile, même pour la pensée, de savoir que ce construit de la guerre est encore là. On parle de 1945, mais ça continue jusqu'à date. Donc, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait pendant presque 100 ans pour aborder la question de la guerre même?
Moi, j'ai une question. Je tenais déjà à vous remercier pour votre présentation également. Ovationner également le réalisateur Martin qui est présent dans cette salle, qui a effectivement fait un travail formidable qui nous permet de voir réellement les conséquences tant écologiques que humanitaires, parce que tous ces témoignages reflètent vraiment de la douleur et de la difficulté que ces personnes ont subi. Donc, à date, est-ce que j'aimerais savoir, je sais pas, est-ce qu'il y a une journée qui commémore ces bombes qui ont été larguées sur Hiroshima et Nagasaki? Si oui, qu'est-ce qui est fait concrètement pour que les dirigeants du monde puissent en prendre conscience? Parce que c'est passé dans les années 45 par là, mais aujourd'hui, avec le temps, nous, cette nouvelle génération qui n'avons pas connu ça, c'est sûr que ça ne nous dit pas grand-chose. Vous comprenez? Donc, il faudrait qu'on soit sensibilisé et le film, même si c'est dans les années, il y a peut-être une trentaine d'années que cela a été réalisé, ça a toujours son sens et c'est important d'interpeller et de sensibiliser les générations actuelles et les générations à venir sur ces conséquences de ces bombes nucléaires. Parce que on vit dans un monde qui fait la course à l'évolution, mais qui néglige probablement les impacts que cela pourrait avoir.
So thank you for the presentation and thank you for the huge work of documenting this for Martin. And the question that I have is like, of course, nobody knows about this anymore. It's like people don't talk about it. Like even in the film, you know, it's like people need to be aware of this. Like there has to be a conscientization process. And so my question is there already a day to commemorate these bombs that were dropped? And if so, what is done in that day to like kind of say to the people that are leading the world that they have to do something, that something has to be, you know, an action taking about that, because we definitely need to be aware of this.
Okay, when we see what's happening in the world today, everything is basically led through democracies.
Aujourd'hui, tout est dirigé par les démocraties.
So we look at what's the so-called top of the heap of the pile of democracies. That's the so-called United States.
Et c'est quoi la pointe de la démocratie? Ben, les soi-disant États-Unis.
So all other countries are following behind in its wake. They all apply to the same policies, all do the same thing.
Tous les autres pays vont suivre ça.
As you see, through tariffs, They may not like it, they may not want to do it, they resist, but no matter what, they gotta comply and everyone's getting in line with that.
Et comme vous l'avez vu avec les tarifs, même si les gens ne veulent pas, ben, ils vont quand même le suivre.
So this means that right now in the world, no one, like you said, it seems like no one knows about this anymore. You're not educated because in the systems that you're in, forget it. You don't learn about nothing except how to destroy stuff.
Et par exemple, vous dites, ben, il n'y a comme pas vraiment une éducation qui se fait là-dedans, puis dans les systèmes éducatifs, ben, en fait, les institutions, c'est comme tout est évacué pour comme ne pas apprendre ça.
To have this type of education, to understand and to be able to deduce and conclude, you have to be in a society that teaches the truth every day.
Et pour le faire, il faudrait être dans une société qui va montrer, enseigner la vérité à tous les jours.
So just as a contrast to what the society doesn't know, in my society, even though our society is like this small now because of colonization,
Et en comparaison, dans ma société, même s'il est rendu toute petite à cause de la colonisation, justement,
we teach our children the truth every day about these types of things.
on enseigne à nos enfants la vérité par rapport à ces choses-là.
Our children grow up knowing about turtle, wolf, and bear, not the false concepts of protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Nos enfants apprennent la conception des tortues, loups et ours, et ne pas la fausseté des noms d'électrons, protons, neutrons.
So in your world, there is no reality. Even if there is a date set aside, think about this, a date set aside to protest.
Et même s'il y a une journée qui commémore ça, ben OK, c'est une journée pour que tout le monde sorte manifester.
That's the government's official date to tolerate you. Okay, on that day, we'll tolerate whatever it is you say, but what it is, it's not a protest. It's the government establishes that process so they can pick your brain and then adjust their movements so that next year you're not able to protest.
Donc, c'est comme une journée mondiale de X ou Y, Z, là, c'est comme la journée que tout le gouvernement va vous tolérer, tout le monde va sortir manifester, ils vont être OK. Mais dans le fond, c'est la façon officielle du gouvernement d'aller chercher des informations pour apprendre comment mieux s'ajuster à cet inconfort social, dans le fond.
So here's your culture. This is where you grew up. You ever see that commercial about bug spray where there's a whole bunch of mosquitoes in a little enclosed chamber and a person puts their arm in there and then they spray bug spray on, put their arm in, and the bugs don't touch it? You are the mosquitoes in there. You're the experiment. You're the one being experimented upon. And so they test you and, oh, you resist through a protest. So then they create their bug spray to deal with the amount of resistance that you put up. So based on your protest, they learn how to eliminate your protest.
Donc, si vous avez vu cette annonce commerciale à la télé, là, comme quoi il y a une chambre de moustiques, là, puis là, il y a quelqu'un qui met son bras, puis il spray le anti-moustique, là, puis il est sauvé grâce à ça. Bien, exactement, c'est comme ça que le gouvernement, ben, vous êtes les moustiques, et le gouvernement apprend à comment se protéger de vous par cette méthode-là.
But for these special days, Stone knows about that. So Stone, what do you know about when are these days where people gather about that, you know, like about like here in Montreal, the anti-nuclear, all of that?
Well, Louise was helping me too because she raised her hand, so I should let her answer, or Martin knows because we.
You know that Montreal and Hiroshima are sister cities. They have been for 30 or 40 years. And that's celebrated every year on August the 6th with a gathering at the Japanese garden in the east end of Montreal. It's a beautiful ceremony. The mayor usually comes or one of his representatives, and there's always the embassy of Japan, which is represented there. And beautiful music played by a choral. So August the 6th is the time to identify with Hiroshima and Montreal.
Et donc, par rapport à la question de s'il y a une journée, effectivement, oui, il y en a. D'ailleurs, Montréal et Hiroshima sont des villes sœurs. Donc, à chaque année, il y a encore une commémoration qui se fait au Jardin botanique de Montréal dans la partie du jardin japonais. Et c'est le 6 août que tout le monde va là. Donc, il y a par exemple parfois la mairie de Montréal qui se rend. Il y a toutes sortes de monde qui se joint pour commémorer ça. Donc, c'est déjà...
And important to know, of course, that date, August the 6th, is because that's the date that the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And just to know some points about that. Things that a lot of people don't know. Fat man, little boy, Enola Gay. Just words. What do they mean? people may have heard them associate them with that specific action of fat man, little boy being dropped on Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Et cette journée-là, il y a, admettons, des termes qu'on va entendre parfois, là, comme fat boy, c'est comme l'enfant gros. Non, fat man.
Fat boy.
Fat boy. And little boy?
Oh, fat man and little boy.
L'homme gros et le petit enfant qui ont été les noms qui ont donné un bombe, en fait, pour les faire tomber. Fait qu'en tout cas, il y a comme tout un lexicon qui se développe à partir de ça aussi, là.
But what is very significant about August 6th, 1946? 45.
Et le 6 août, c'est quand que les bombes ont été jetées. Mais ce qui est symbolique de ça,
It's something that you won't know about because you'll talk August 6th, you're talking about from Gregorian calendar, which means nothing.
c'est quand on parle du 6 août, c'est le calendrier grégorien, donc c'est encore une date qui n'a pas par rapport.
But August 6th was one day after the 8th new moon.
Mais le 6 août de 1945 a été une journée après la 8th?
Before. One day before.
One day before the 8th new moon.
Une journée avant la 8e nouvelle lune.
So, to you, big deal. What does that mean, right?
Et ça veut dire quoi ça pour vous?
It means a hell of a lot to me, and I understand it, why they chose that day.
Ça veut dire beaucoup pour moi et je comprends pourquoi ils ont choisi cette date-là.
Because again, it goes back to the time on the turtle's back. It tells you specifically points, cardinal points.
Parce que ça parle de points cardinaux dans le dos de la tortue.
And a full moon and a new moon is a point of power.
Et les nouvelles et les pleines lunes sont des points de pouvoir.
You'll learn this in the moon teaching sharing circle that we're going to do at 4 o'clock.
Et vous l'apprenez dans les enseignements de la lune qu'on va avoir à 4 heures.
So in order for you to know that there is PowerPoints within a year, there's PowerPoints within a day. You know your own self that you have PowerPoints where you have more energy.
Et vous savez qu'il y a des points, des moments où vous allez avoir plus d'énergie, par exemple.
So what it is, why August 6th was chosen, now here you won't accept this either because it's a witchcraft.
Et la nouvelle et la pleine lune, ben, ils sont associés à ça. Et là, si je vous dis pourquoi ils ont choisi cette date-là, vous n'allez pas le croire, mais c'est parce qu'il y a vraiment une manipulation mentale au fond.
Now, you won't accept witchcraft because you'll think of a woman with a big hat and a big wart on her nose, stirring a cauldron, going,
Et si je vous dis que cette manipulation mentale peut s'appeler sorcellerie, vous n'allez pas me croire parce que vous allez imaginer la femme avec son chapeau, le gros nez qui fait ça sur un chaudron et rit comme ça.
Witchcraft is performed every day. You yourself have probably performed witchcraft on people.
Mais cette manipulation mentale est tellement subtile qu'il se fait à tous les jours sur les gens, puis peut-être même vous l'avez faite sur quelqu'un d'autre.
Because what witchcraft is quite simply mind manipulation.
Parce que c'est ça, la sorcellerie, c'est un mot pour dire manipulation mentale.
And so if you don't know about the new moons, the full moons, the cyclical motions in relation to Mother Earth, then that's your natural human evolved knowledge taken out of you.
Et si vous ne pouvez pas justement comprendre c'est quoi le lien de l'importance des nouvelles lunes, des pleines lunes dans le cycle lunaire de 13 lunes, ben, il y a quelque chose qui manque à votre compréhension des événements.
You are a victim of mind manipulation. That's witchcraft.
Et à ce moment-là, le monde devient des victimes de la manipulation mentale. Et ça, c'est la sorcellerie.
And here's the clash coming at you. It's going to happen, like it or not. There is going to be a clash in your society that is going to confront all the witchcraft that has been performed in your society. They lied to you. Men lied to you, saying it's women that were the witches. The men were the witches. They were the ones that murdered. They were the ones that destroyed the women right in front of their families. Ultimate mind manipulation, ultimate witchcraft, just like what happened upon Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Et il y a quelque chose qui arrive à point en ce moment dans la société, comme quoi il y a une prise de conscience plus forte de pourquoi que les hommes qui ont assassiné les femmes en les accusant de sorcières, ils ont fait ça, tu sais, ben, c'était plutôt eux qui étaient les sorciers parce que c'est eux qui les ont assassinés.
So remember other things about it also that is not in your locution today.
Et quelque chose d'autre à considérer.
Remember atoms for peace. check it out. What's atoms for peace?
Vous pouvez faire la recherche sur les atomes, sur la paix et qu'est-ce que ça fait, en quoi que ça
You
consiste.
see one of the guys, the subject in the video, saying that we were experimented upon.
Vous avez vu le gars du film qui dit on nous a juste examinés, on était comme des cobayes.
The bomb being dropped, he says, was an experiment.
Il dit la bombe, le fait que ça a été jeté, ben c'était ça l'expérience.
You know about the bomb being dropped,
Vous savez ça?
but do you know about the policy, the American policy that was created in Britain? Do you know about that policy called Atoms for Peace that was inflicted over the entire country of Japan afterwards? That's why the nuclear power plant a few years back. Fukushima. That's why Fukushima happened, because the United States created Atoms for Peace, where all of Japan had to accept being the nuclear guinea pigs for the nuclear industry. That's why they put a nuclear power plant right on the ocean in a country that they know is prone to earthquakes, knowing that it's going to happen. It was a ticking time bomb they placed there.
Donc, vous savez que la bombe a été jetée, mais est-ce que vous savez qu'il y avait une politique nationale des États-Unis propulsée par la couronne britannique de dire on va établir des usines nucléaires partout dans le territoire japonais? Et c'est comme ça qu'ils sont devenus vraiment des cobayes, parce que dans le fond, Fukushima, tu sais, comme le désastre nucléaire qui s'est produit il y a quelques années, c'était justement à cause de ça.
So search what Atoms for Peace was, and you'll understand that you're still in it. You're still in the policy of Atoms for Peace since 1946.
Et vous allez, en faisant la recherche, savoir que vous êtes encore dans la politique des atomes pour la paix depuis 1946.
Let me just this that at the World Social Forum, specifically against nuclear technologies in Paris in 2017, the Prime Minister of Japan at the time of the meltdown in Fukushima, Naoto Kan, he was part of the welcoming committee for all the delegates from around the world that went to this conference. I went, and he had to manage the Fukushima crisis. There's actually a film director there that came, and there's a fiction that was made on those first 6 or 7 days of the crisis. And I met that film director. I have those coordinates too. But what I'm trying to say is Naoto Kan had to manage that. They almost had to evacuate the whole city of Tokyo. He said many good things, and we did an official opening the way that Stuart did here today at that conference. But he was resolutely against all forms of nuclear in Japan from that point onwards. And he continues to travel. He goes to France a lot, and he'll speak. He goes to The Hague. He'll speak against nuclear power. So this is the former prime minister that had to manage that crisis. And we have a connection to that person, hopefully through being able to discuss these. And there's a lady in Masako, her name is, she's in Tokyo right now. She's part of a bigger coalition still fighting for getting rid of the atom bomb. And there's someone maybe over there that might be, part of our discussion one day too.
Alors, en 2017, on s'est rendu au Forum social à Paris, puis c'est là qu'il a rencontré le premier ministre japonais qui, de toute évidence, disait on est complètement à l'encontre de n'importe quelle forme du nucléaire. Puis c'était tout récemment, à partir de ce qui s'était passé à Fukushima, fait qu'il a constaté comment qu'il a fallu même évacuer presque la ville de Tokyo au complet. C'était vraiment quelque chose de majeur. Et c'est comment que ça touche la vie des Japonais, fait que dans le fond, on est en contact avec lui encore. On pourrait avoir peut-être une discussion plus approfondie sur ce, puis même des pistes d'action à faire.
Okay, so anyways, the whole corruption here that we're dealing with in any issue, never mind if it's nuclear, if it's what they're doing to the rivers or anything, any issue.
Et si on parle de n'importe quel enjeu environnemental, la coupe de la forêt, la pollution de la rivière, peu importe.
The reality is we know that there is 2 hemispheres of our brain.
C'est que la réalité, nous savons, il y a 2 hémisphères dans notre cerveau.
We know that in creation, there are 2 things, 2 elements. Look, there's one, that's a life giver. Another one, it's a life protector. There are no other elements.
Et nous savons que dans la réalité, il y a deux éléments qui constituent la vie ou qui forment la vie. Il y a l'entité féminine, la donneuse de vie, et l'entité masculine, les protecteurs de vie.
So we can easily deduce, unless there's something wrong with you, you could easily deduce two parts of our brain. Hey, wait a minute. One part is female, the other part is male.
Et donc, on peut facilement déduire que dans notre cerveau, il va y avoir aussi une partie qui va être féminine et une autre partie qui va être masculine.
You don't identify it as female because you just identify science sense it's creativity, it's logic, it's common sense, it's female. Everybody knows that male, he's just dumb.
Et c'est juste que ce n'est pas identifié comme tel, comme féminin, mais la science va dire c'est la partie créatrice du cerveau, et l'imagination, etc., l'artiste. Et bon, le côté mâle est un peu plus non.
Let's be realistic. Male on our own, we all know what we will do.
Et nous le savons, là, si on nous laisse nous tout seuls, les gars, là, vous savez c'est quoi qu'on va faire. Là.
But we are of life giver. We are not the primary. This is what you are not taught in your world. The primary is mother, life giver. She is primary. I am secondary. Anything that I do is complementary to her. I cannot go outside of that order. If I do, it goes against her.
Mais nous, les gars, nous sommes nés des femmes, de nos mères, donc c'est elle la première. C'est ça ce qu'on ne nous apprend pas dans les écoles, c'est que nous, les gars, nous sommes secondaires. Moi, je ne peux pas faire quelque chose qu'elle n'aime pas. C'est elle, dans le fond, qui a comme le pouvoir de veto des choses.
So what happens in male dominance? In an individual, one person who's male dominant.
Et qu'est-ce qui arrive dans la société? Admettons un individu qui est de la dominance mâle. Là.
Two sides of your brain. All issues begin from the female side.
S'il y a deux côtés dans le cerveau, l'initiation va toujours venir du côté féminin.
Because again, it's creativity. It's not on the male side, it's on the female side. And it's logic, and it's common sense, and it's compassion. It's all of that stuff.
Parce que c'est la créativité, et ça vient de la femme, et c'est la compassion, l'amour, tout ça.
So you know that these issues or whatever are thought out first. We may not perceive that. Guys may not perceive that. When you women just throw an issue at us one way or another, in whichever way, we just may think like, oh no, this is hard or whatever. It's the communication to us that we got to pick up, that we got to read. We have to accommodate her emotion.
Et parfois, nous, les gars, on n'est comme pas capable de saisir que quand il y a une femme qui nous communique de quoi, là, parfois, si c'est un peu comme une critique, on va la recevoir comme, mais voyons, là, pourquoi? Mais c'est qu'il faut qu'on soit ouvert à sa communication parce que c'est ça ce qui va nous diriger.
Because emotion comes from what? Comes from your central nervous system, every nerve ending in your body. Translates, sends the messages to your central point of consciousness, which then determines the emotion you have in relation to that thing.
Parce que c'est aussi une transmission d'émotions en relation à quelque chose.
And so, emotion, which comes from the women because they read it, they pick it up from Mother Earth, is then communicated to us. We are the hands of our mothers in this world. We are to then create or to build or to beautify based on that message that they send to us, because it is constant messages through Mother Earth's magnetic field that every woman is picking up and then translating to us. But male dominance ain't got time for that.
Et l'émotion, ben c'est toujours ça, ça va être ressenti par les femmes parce qu'elles vont capter directement le champ magnétique de la Terre qui transmet des messages et c'est le devoir de l'homme de le recevoir et le traduire puis agir en conséquence. Mais dans la société de domination masculine, il n'y a jamais du temps pour écouter cette voix-là.
So how the human brain is supposed to function is that these thoughts originate in the female side of the brain, it gets transferred over to the male side of the brain. And the male side of the brain then has to respond, sending it back.
Et donc, dans le cerveau, c'est le côté féminin qui initie et après, le côté mâle reçoit, puis il doit répondre.
But what male dominance does is it cancels out the mother, the female, the life giver. And it creates the concepts or the issues instead of receiving it from the life givers.
Et ce que la domination mâle fait, c'est qu'à la place de recevoir ce que l'entité féminine a à dire, ils vont complètement l'évacuer puis se créer eux-mêmes l'initiation pour se répondre eux-mêmes.
So the mother follows the real course. She sends it across. What do you think? He says, yeah, okay. She says, okay, then this is what we're going to do. Instead of that, The male dominance, what it does is within its own side of the brain, it comes up with this crazy concept, because guys are crazy. Hey, let's build an atomic bomb. Comes up with this crazy concept. It needs confirmation, but it canceled out the female side of the brain. So you know how it gets confirmation within itself? It has to create another identity. It schizophrenicizes itself. Democracy.
Et donc, si en tant que normand, c'est la partie féminine qui présente, la partie mâle qui répond, OK, oui, on est d'accord, on va faire ça, on y va. Mais dans la dominance mâle, la partie féminine n'est même pas prise en compte. Donc, le mâle, pour pouvoir prendre ses décisions et dire, on va faire une bombe nucléaire, mais à qui ils vont demander est-ce qu'on peut le faire? À lui-même, oui, oui, on peut le faire. Puis donc, il crée une identité alterne. Et c'est ça, la démocratie, c'est la schizophrénie créée par soi-même.
Because democracy is supposed to be a collective consciousness, how we arrive at collective decision making.
Parce que ce qui devrait être, c'est de comment qu'on peut arriver à une prise de décision en collectivité, en consensus.
So think about in yourself. How do you arrive at a decision?
Et donc, comment que vous arrivez à vos décisions, vous?
Well, there's that process that I explained to you, but if it's not there, then you go with democracy. You go along with who supports you in this crazy decision to make atomic bombs.
Et vous savez, le processus du consensus, je viens de vous le présenter, mais dans la démocratie, comment que ça va être fait? Ben, admettons que quelqu'un veut faire une bombe, on va aller chercher de l'appui monétaire pour qu'on puisse fabriquer cette bombe-là. Donc, ça se fait tout avec l'appui des intérêts personnels qui ne prennent pas en compte la vérité.
Democracy is a self-inflicted state of schizophrenia upon anyone who participates in it, because automatically, think a mother. If a mother to all the children in this room wants to decide what you're going to have for dinner, is a mother going to put an issue to you that you got to vote on and divide? Is a mother going to divide her children? This is democracy. Male does that. Male divides so that they can then conquer, that they can control. Male dominance. You are in a structure of male dominance right now.
Si on pense à comment que la démocratie évacue la mère, par exemple, une maman, si elle fait à manger, elle ne va pas demander à ses enfants, OK, on peut voter sur quoi qu'on va manger ce soir pour que ses enfants soient divisés, puis après, ils se chicanent entre eux. Mais c'est ça ce que la démocratie fait, et voilà.
And right now, we have to break out of this because of time constraints. We're already here too long. So if there's anything, anybody wants to say anything, address anything?
Et là, on sait qu'on doit terminer parce qu'on a même dépassé le temps. Donc, est-ce qu'il y aurait quelque chose d'autre à dire?
Yeah, it sounds like democracy is confusing us. Is it confusing in nature?
Okay, I could tell you precisely the answer to what you just said. I can confirm it, but it's the type of thing that if you were hypnotized, would you know it? Would you be able to tell you were hypnotized?
No.
Et donc, la question, c'est, parce que tu présentes, c'est comme si la démocratie nous confond. Bien sûr, elle dit, ben oui, mais je pourrais t'affirmer ça, mais dans le fond, c'est comme si tu te fais hypnotiser là. Est-ce que tu vas savoir si tu l'es? Et la réponse est non.
Okay, so for me to come along and tell you you're hypnotized, you would not believe me because it's been a successful hypnosis upon you. Of course, you're not hypnotized. You know that you're conscious. You would not believe me. It's something you have to discover on your own.
Et si moi je te dis, hey, t'es hypnotisé là, ben tu me croirais pas. Donc, c'est quelque chose de laquelle tu devrais te libérer toi-même.
But there is a lot of help there. You are not going to get this information, I'll guarantee you, nowhere else on earth. Nowhere.
Je te garantis que ce type d'information, tu vas pas la trouver nulle part ailleurs.
So it's something you must seek out.
Donc, c'est quelque chose que c'est à toi d'aller le chercher.
And just as something very funny about today.
Il y a quelque chose de drôle par rapport à aujourd'hui.
Here we are, we're in UQAM.
Nous voici à l'UQAM.
10 years ago, we were coming into UQAM under an invitation to a native whatever. We were bringing the Ganyangahaga Moon Teaching Sharing Circle into UQAM.
Il y a 10 ans à peu près, nous venions faire des serres de partage et on allait présenter les enseignements de la Lune à l'UQAM.
They refused it, saying to me that they didn't know the information that I got, if it was actual Mohawk knowledge or not.
Et ils l'ont refusé et ils m'ont répondu qu'ils ne pouvaient pas garantir que ce que j'allais présenter était en fait de la science Mohawk.
And that was based upon some fool within the student body organization, native organization, Gustavo, whatever the heck his last name was. What was his last name? Gustavo. He was claiming to be a native guy, wasn't even native. He was from Mexico, but he was sitting here in UQAM on the native whatever. And it was his statement that UQAM used to keep out the knowledge from you.
Cette époque-là, c'était le gars qui dirigeait le cercle des Premières Nations de l'UQAM qui a dit non, vous ne pouvez pas le faire. Donc, dans le fond, il a utilisé quelqu'un, ou en fait, même peut-être l'UQAM ne l'a jamais su, mais c'était quelqu'un qui a pris cette décision au nom de dire ce n'est pas des enseignements moraux.
So something happened here today.
Donc, quelque chose s'est passé aujourd'hui ici.
We reversed that process from 10 years ago and we communicated with you. You. That's who we communicated with today. We see a lot of people in here. I communicated with you.
Et donc, on vient de revertir ce processus et aujourd'hui, on a communiqué avec toi. Il y a plein de monde ici, mais on a communiqué vraiment avec toi.
Because whenever we go somewhere or do something, we never go with a predetermined, this is what we're going to talk about. We never write a speech. This is for stupid people. This is for people who aren't real. Wherever we go and we read the people. And that's where we see the interaction. Where is the most interaction here? It just happens to be with you. Even despite that he asked some very crucial questions, it didn't go to the depth of what you asked.
Et comment qu'on fonctionne, c'est qu'on ne va pas aller quelque part avec déjà un écrit préétabli, mais c'est qu'on arrive et on lit les choses. Et même s'il y a des questions, par exemple, qui sont posées, ben, c'est qu'on basé dans la profondeur de l'interaction.
This is how collective consciousness works. We all supposed to sit in a circle. You know, I'm not supposed to be standing up here in front of you. We're supposed to be in a circle, and whoever has information on this thing we're talking about comes out of the people, and then someone else will affirm it or else say, no, that is not correct, and give the proper thing. And collectively, through that process, the council process, which the non-native world is missing. You do not have the council process. Instead, you got this false education. But if you had the council process, collective consciousness will rise, truth will rise out of the people. Instead, when you got one person there, no, you're wrong. It's this way. And you know how corrupted that process is.
Et comme ici, par exemple, il ne faudrait pas que je sois ici en avant de tout le monde. Il faudrait qu'on soit assis dans un cercle, puis la vérité émerge de chacune des personnes qui portent cette vérité-là. Donc, ça serait à ce moment-là que la conscience collective se construit, et c'est ça le processus de conseil. Et voilà.
Okay, so we got to go, right? That's it?
It's a work in progress.
Did they say, is that it? Do we got to go right now? Or we
evacuate at the very minute.
So
What time is
So
it?
we have the thing at 4, yeah. Let me just say thank you to Anne. She's already gone to another workshop, and to Louis, who's given us some great technical help, and Martin again, but especially to everybody, especially to the life givers, to Louise, my wife, has come, to Angèle for sure, Edith, all the life givers, the people from CRAIRAB, Commission pour la recherche indépendante et de l'information sur les radionucléoïdes en France. On avait un bout de ce qu'ils font pour aider les autochtones en Afrique par rapport au problème des mines d'uranium. Ça sera pour une autre fois aussi. Mais surtout, merci à tout le monde. Hein.
Okay, Radharani, right now, because of the time constraints, as you see, we just can't do it. We apologize greatly, but if you can remain at 4 o'clock, we're going into the other room, the auditorium, and there we can do it there. I know where you're at, the time. I know you're dead tired, but this is the only way that it can work today. So if you can't make it there, if it's too late for you, you're too tired, we'll understand that. We're going to address it anyways. We're going to state what your effort is, what we are acknowledging and working with you on in so-called Europe. So
actually, I will be there with you. I will stay with you. And I send the videos to Edith over Swiss transfer. I was actually addressing in that video many issues that you were talking about now, but in a poetic way. So you have the videos, you have it, Edith, on Swiss transfer. So I'll be there with you later on. And thank you all for presentation.
Notre amie Ali Radharani, elle est en Slovénie, on dit ça? L'ancienne République tchèque. Puis, elle est, en tout cas, elle veut présenter des choses qui ont une résonance avec ce qui a été présenté, mais d'une façon un peu plus artistique, poétique, parce que c'est ça ce qu'elle est. Donc, elle va être là dans le prochain Zoom, puis on va pouvoir l'échanger.
Okay, so we have to close now. That's it. That's got to be the end. But because we're still here all day long, we're not going to do a closing. It's just to identify that this has come to an end, this part of the day, and we move on. Now we're going to be in room what? Some other room.
M 510.
Okay, so we're in some other room, and there we're going to be addressing everything. We'll leave it at that. Centered around the Ganyangahaga Moon Teaching Sharing Circle, and this is where it will shake you at your foundational knowledge of things that you know of, or what you think you know, but will expose you to what has always been hidden from you, mind manipulated.
On va pas faire une fermeture, on va juste aller directement aux enseignements de la Lune pour la conférence de 4 heures, puis voilà.
Okay, so now we'll go on. Ayun ki again hayati so tagun han merdo another hetstene gonna go rear that he hawakwe. Damdawi adon hetsera gazat stansera neganungwe to bring back our mother's power. Dogatena nahoda yatakso. Air to sawit, air to sawit, air to sawit. We have nothing to do with bad on any level, and we push it away on the 3 levels of existence. You know those 3 levels. We talked about it all day here. You know them as protons, neutrons, and electrons. I don't. I know them as turtle, wolf, and bear. So those are the 3 levels of existence we clean out. All the corruptions. So think from the cellular level to the collective level, all the dimensions that we exist in, and we must walk that straight line all the way through it. We must know law to not violate, to not be the ones that step on anybody else's toes. We are not colonizers. Even you who are in the colonizing systems, you are not colonizers. You are enslaved to do these things.
Et la colonisation, ben nous ne sommes pas des colonisatrices, colonisateurs, même celles et ceux qui sont sous ce système-là, ben les gens ont été esclavisés à faire ces choses pour les colonisateurs.
Okay, so now we'll go. We'll see you all later. That's it. Oh no.
Prochaine.
Now,